Our second speaker for the Carrollwood International Beach Contest this 9th day of February 2022 is Don Prue. A lucky man at a bachelor party, Don Prue. Don Prue, a lucky man at a bachelor party. The mic is yours.
Hello, Toastmasters and honored guests. Raise your hand if you have ever attended a bachelor or bachelorette party. Well, I see that we have a lot of people who have attended one. Now, I don't know what kind of party you went to, but in my experience, there are three types: a PG, an R, or an X. This story is about the last bachelor party I ever attended. It was for my future brother-in-law, John, who was marrying my younger sister, Patty. So I really didn't know what was going to happen in the next few hours. The party started out by having a little basketball tournament. I thought that was a little odd, but John and his friends were about 15 years younger than I was, and all athletes in high school or college. John had actually been a tight end for the Holy Cross football team and was about 6'7". I was 39 and not in the greatest shape, but very competitive. They broke us up into two-person teams and we played to 21. I was partnered with Chuck. Chuck and I played 3 games and won the John's Bachelor Party Championship because I'm so competitive. However, after each game, I would come off the court winded and it would take longer to recover each time. The last time, I could not recover from being winded. After about 5 minutes, I told my brother Jake, who had come to the event with me, to go with John to his house for the barbecue, and I would go home and rest and catch up with them later. So I went to my car, I got in there, I'm still hyperventilating. On the way home, I drive by 3 hospitals, Salem, J.B. Thomas, and Leahy Clinic, but I think there's no need to stop. Then I think maybe I'll have a cigarette to calm down my breathing. So I light one up. That doesn't help. I get home, I'm still hyperventilating. I walk in and my wife is getting ready to go to a bachelorette party with my sister. She sees me and gets concerned. I've now been hyperventilating for 30 minutes. So she calls 911 while I go to the bed and lay down, hoping it will calm my breathing down. Once in the bed, suddenly I get a tingling feeling. Now, I'm sure many of you have felt that tingling. Remember when your arm goes to sleep and all of a sudden you move it and the blood returns and you get that tingling feeling? Well, that's what I was feeling, only it was from the tips of my toes to the top of my head. Now I'm really concerned. And in about 10 minutes, an ambulance shows up. I'm still unable to catch my breath and the tingling is still going on. I don't know if they were paramedics or not, but it was a man and a woman. The man tells me I'm just hyperventilating and they will walk me out to the ambulance. And they take me to one of those hospitals that I drove by on the way home. Once in the emergency room, I tell the doctor and nurse about the tingling and they clearly see the hyperventilating. They start hooking up electrodes to my chest. As they're doing that, I ask the doctor if he will be sticking any needles in me because I really don't like needles, and ask if there's any way to avoid them. He tells me probably not. So I say to him, how about if the tingling and hyperventilating stop? To which he responds, we'll see. At that moment, the tingling and hyperventilating stopped. It was like I was back to normal. I sat up and said, hey, doc, it stopped. He responded by saying to the nurse, wow, look at this, as he pointed to the monitor. Then I said, does this mean no needles? And he responded, well, no, we're still probably gonna need to get some blood. At that point, I fell back on the table. While I was down, I remembered the feeling of someone sitting on my chest and me trying to push them off. I also remember something else. I know people talk about seeing a white light during such experiences. What I recall was looking up and seeing a white cloud in the distance. I thought I saw people waving at me, but couldn't make them out. I later thought they were sort of waving at me to stay where I was. Then suddenly I woke up. They had hit me twice with the paddles to get my heart beating in rhythm again. I now had 4 or 5 people around me, one on each arm, sticking needles into me. They were having trouble getting a needle into one of my veins. Then one of them said, we're gonna have to try another part of his body. I didn't know where he was talking about, but I didn't want to find out. I shouted out, no, keep using the arms. You see, while doctors may be great at doctor stuff, they're not so good at being phlebotomists. Right then, a nurse came in, took a needle from one of the doctors and hit a vein on the first try. Once she got the IV in me, they were able to give me a shot of TPA, a clot-busting drug that was somewhat new at the time. Once they give you the shot of TPA, they can't stick you with another needle or you will bleed out. That's why they were trying to get a needle in me. Now, I would spend some time in the CC unit, critical care unit at the hospital, and miss a couple of months of work, but eventually I made a complete recovery. My point to you is, while you may not think these things can happen to you, I'm here to tell you that they can't. I was fortunate to survive many warning signs I ignored. You may not be as lucky as I was that fateful day in September 1996. Madam Contest Chair, Madam Contest Master,